All right, well, let's get into the match review. Obviously, we lost 1-0 to Brighton at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. There was a lot of positivity going into this game. I mean, I saw the vlog, Barry predicting 7-0 coming into it. I'm not sure if that was the beer talking or if that was actually his opinion. But
Butler was getting battered.
Yeah, of course he was. But I think there was a lot of positivity. I started the week saying we were going to win 5-0. I think every day it was decreasing from 4-0 to 3-0. And then I was saying to people the other night that I've actually got a bad feeling about this game. And I think that things just seem to be going too well for Tottenham at the moment.
Yeah, that's the thing, because I was walking to the ground and the sun was shining. Everyone was happy. Everyone was feeling, no one was worried about the game, and everyone was thinking we were going to stroll and win the game. And I was saying to my uncle Adrian, our Uncle Adrian, I was saying, it's these kind of days where the sun's out, everything seems good.
Take your eye off the ball, yeah.
You can easily slip up, and I think yesterday we definitely did that. We were way too slow. We were way too lethargic on the ball. We weren't sharp enough whatsoever. The patterns of play that we've been synonymous with Conte weren't there. Brighton as well had a plan for us, which I knew Potter was going to come up with some sort of a way to play against us. And I said in the preview that although they didn't quite play exactly the same formation, but Villa played with clogging up the midfield. They play that very narrow diamond formation, 4 in the midfield, and they played with the 2 strikers. I'm not quite sure Brighton did that, but they clogged up the central areas and they forced us out wide, and we struggled badly to progress the game from on the wide areas, because I thought Lamptey and Cucurella up against Emerson and Reguilon had them for dinner pretty much throughout the whole game. They were very dominant. I didn't feel like Emerson and Reguilon were getting any sort of joy out wide. And then it's up to the central players to kind of show some quality, to find spaces in between that clogged up Brighton midfield to try and show their superiority. And Bentancur and Højbjerg were not able to do that. We weren't able to get the ball to them, really. And thus, we're not able to get the ball to them. The supply to the front three was non-existent. And then that led to us having 0 shots on target throughout the whole game. We weren't getting any quality throughout the team. weren't able to get them on the ball whatsoever. We didn't change formation throughout the game. We pretty much kept it as it was, and Brighton were able to tactically maneuver the game in their favour. And it's not like they had chance after chance, although they had probably more chance. They definitely had more chance than us. It's not like Lloris had to make loads of saves, but they were happy with that. The onus wasn't on them to come and attack. They knew that they were probably happy leaving with a draw. Obviously, they left with 3 points with a late winner, but the onus was on us to change things and force the issue, and we didn't quite do that.
No, we didn't. And like you say, they clogged up the midfield. And I thought that, I don't know why it was instruction or his own doing, but Kane didn't come back at all to help that midfield out. He didn't drop deep like he has been. Like, we've had so much joy over the past couple of weeks when he has dropped back, get Son in behind and stuff like that. It just wasn't happening for him. And every time we had it at the back, whenever we tried to play it into the midfield, they pressed us and got the ball off us, and we were losing the ball like that. How many times did Reguilon lose the ball, or our defence lose the ball trying to play it out the back? And then when we didn't try to play it out back, we tried to go long, and we persisted with going long. And every time we went long, we lost the ball again. I mean, we just couldn't keep the ball for more than 2 minutes.
I think as
and when
well,
we did keep the ball, it was just so slow and lethargic.
A lot of the times we were going long to Heung-min Son. I'm assuming that we were trying to get him in behind with runs, and that wasn't working whatsoever. I did feel, however, there were a few times we went long to Kane and he made it stick, and we actually then started to create some sort of difficulty for Brighton. But we didn't do that with any sort of quality consistently enough. We weren't able to get the ball into Harry Kane's chest or on his head anywhere near enough. And I actually think going direct definitely would have been a much more fruitful solution yesterday in that kind of game, because I did think Kane actually physically had the beating of Duncan Veltman when he went up for him, but we didn't do it and not anywhere near enough, and that was really, really frustrating. And obviously when we tried to play through and we didn't, I assume as well, Basuma was brilliant. I thought
Unbelievable.
he dominated us in the centre,
Unbelievable.
absolutely dominated us. I thought we couldn't get near him. There were times that the whole Brighton team we couldn't get near him. To be honest, that's what I say about that possession-based structure they have. It's very difficult to get the ball off and play against them, which is why, even though they were losing games, they weren't losing by much. They were, always lose by one goal, or it's always a tight game with Brighton. That's why I'm a big fan of Potter, because I think if you put his structure with better players, I think you can definitely get a good team there. But
the thing
he should have changed the formation because it wasn't working. You've got to at least match them up in the centre if you're getting bullied and you're not getting any joy out wide. I think you should have either get an extra body there in the centre in a 3-5-2 or go forward at the back.
The thing is like it was a first half. We've been poor in first halves recently, against Aston Villa, against Newcastle, Brighton again yesterday. And I thought, I wasn't too panicked at halftime because I thought it was just a theme that's been going on the last couple of weeks where we've been poor in first halves. Conte will make a few tweaks and we'll start creating more chances in the second half. But it was basically a carbon copy of the first half, the second half, and nothing really changed.
I would say it was a slight improvement in the second half. I don't think it was massive, but we did have, literally first half, we pretty much had 0 openings. I'd say second half, we did have the couple of chances, like Son was in the area, had a shot block. Højbjerg down the byline, he cut it across and we could have got a goal there. Lucas obviously had that one moment where he skinned Cucurella and his cross went into Sanchez's arms. It was slim pickings, but it's more than we had in the first half. Yeah. So there were a couple of opportunities in the second half we had, but it's nowhere near enough. And you're relying on those going away in a very tight game. And if they don't, then there's nothing else. And I think as well, another example of us needing a creative player in these situations who has the vision to unlock these defences, because as well as Højbjerg and Bentancur be won't put Kulusevski in that bracket, but in terms of it being in the central areas, as well as they've been doing, they're not players who are going to be constantly creating chances for you. They might create 1 or 2 in a game, like Højbjerg did yesterday, and like Bentancur, he can sometimes do it for you. He can make a good through ball, but he's not a player who's going to do that 4, 5, 6 times a game. And someone like Eriksen will. That's the quality that you need in these kind of games, and that's something we're badly lacking in this squad, and we're going to have to make do from now to the end of the season without it. And hopefully we've got enough in the squad to get us through to the end of the season, which, to be fair, last 10 games we've won 7 and we've scored a lot of goals. But if teams are getting wise to us in how we play and getting more used to our formation, which has been very consistent, haven't we? We're very predictable how we're going to play, aren't we? Everyone knows how we're going to play. It's just about how you're going to stop it. Brian came up with a plan to stop it, and we weren't able to adapt our game. And I think that was a disappointment for me in terms of Conte's man management of the game. Because, all right, fair enough, for an hour you keep it because that's how we play, and you have to try and have belief in the system. But after an hour, we were pretty much creating nothing, and I think the flaws were evident. And he's either got to do 2 things for me: either put an extra body in the central midfield, so we actually can compete there, because we couldn't compete in centre mid. Every time we got to Højbjerg or Bentancur, they were being snuffed out by their central midfielders, and they were completely outnumbered. We weren't able to play through them. Or if you're going to keep it like that, you have to swap the fullbacks. Either you put Kulusevski at fullback and bring on Lucas, or you put Sessegnon on the right for me, because we had no one taking on our men in our wing backs. Emerson and Reguilon refused to take anyone on. Whether it's confidence or quality, they refused to take on Lamptey and Cucurella. And that hurt us, because it meant every time we got it into space on the out wide, they got to a certain point and then passed it back. Always a certain point, passed it back, or more often than not giving it away.
Yesterday just showed us, didn't it? Showed us right in front of our eyes the need for new wing backs on both sides.
I think if you swap the wing backs of the teams, we probably win the game tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. I thought their wing backs showed us what fullbacks or wing backs should be doing. I mean, Cucurella and Lamptey both had really strong games, especially Cucurella. And on our side, I thought both of our wing backs was poor, but especially Reguilon. I thought
Reguilon was anonymous.
Yeah, he had a shocker yesterday.
At least Emerson, a few times he was making runs and he was trying to get involved, although the quality wasn't really there. Reguilon, it was like he was hiding yesterday. He didn't want the ball. He didn't show for it. His runs were not there at all. How many times did Reguilon get to the byline and put a cross in or anything like that? hardly ever. How compared to Cucurella, how many times you saw him supporting the attack and getting involved with Brighton? Like it almost seemed like non-stop. And in those situations where the space is out wide, you need wing backs who can at least take someone on and commit players and open up spaces. And the problem with that is if you've got players like Emerson and Reguilon who aren't prepared to take people on, it makes...
I don't get it with Reguilon though, because he's got the pace, he's got the the stamina to get up and down the pitch. He's got
Lamptey's a very quick...
He's got the know-how to get past defenders, but it's a constant theme with Reguilon. It's not just the game yesterday. It's a constant theme with him how he fails to take on the fullback.
Yeah. I think when he's in a back four, and then when the wing back has when the opposition wing back has a winger to deal with, I think it's a lot easier for him to find the spaces. But when he's at wing back, and I feel like it was Lamptey's responsibility to deal with Reguilon, and I think he found it easy, right? Like
very easy.
Like Lamptey is probably just as quick as Reguilon. Reguilon doesn't have a box of tricks up his sleeve really to get past him. He just relies on his pace. And I thought Lamptey it was simple for him to deal with Reguilon. He didn't have to do anything hard or difficult. He just matched him stride for stride, and I didn't even bother taking him on. It seemed. But in these situations, you need wing backs who are going to commit players and open up spaces. Because if you're not, if they're just going to pass it back, or if they're just going to make it easy for the opposition wing backs, then it's very easy for the opposition defenses to be settled in their back four and not have to think too much about what they're doing. They just stick their positions, make sure the guy doesn't get a cross in. They know that he's not going to beat you. So it's very easy to have that structure and keep it, which is why I would have put someone like Session on the right, because it asks a different question of the defense. He can either cut inside or go on the outside. He can commit plays. He's quite a decent. He's a much better dribbler, I think, than Emerson or Reguilon in how he dribbles. So that's what I would have done, to maybe ask a different question, or put Kulusevski at wing back and go a bit more attacking. Yeah, you're opening yourselves up a bit, but at least you're asking a much different question to the Brighton back four. We didn't ask enough questions at all. Ask
hardly any questions, to be honest.
The only thing we did was put Lucas on for Kulusevski, like for like, pretty much. Added a bit of pace, but his control yesterday was horrific.
Hey, Lucas has been really bad since Kulusevski has come on. Every cameo, apart from maybe barring one, when he got that assist for Bergwijn, and even that was a bit lucky. He's been shocking. And what does Bergwijn need to do to get more than a couple of minutes here and a couple of minutes there? Why is Lucas always our first substitute? I mean, isn't it clear to see that Bergwijn is the player on form more than Lucas?
Yeah, it does make sense to me. Maybe it's because Lucas is more comfortable on the right and he didn't want to take off Son until late. But I would have, at that stage of the game, I don't understand why he's taking off Son. Why doesn't he take off? I would have taken off Reguilon and put either Bergwijn a wing back or just gone for the back. Why doesn't he do that and really try and go for the goal? It did worry me a bit after the game, where Conte said yesterday was a type of game where if you can't win it, you definitely don't lose it. And I understand what he's saying, but I feel like he didn't do enough to try and win the game. I think there was a few things he could have done to try and really ask different questions of Brighton and maneuver our attackers into different kind of spaces to gain more control of the game. Whereas yesterday, we didn't. We took the two subs we made, or Lucas for Kulusevski, Bentancur for Winks. It's just like for like. It was not there was nothing that was going to ask different questions of Brighton. The midfield was going to be the same structure, so it was still going to be Boston midfield. The wing backs he didn't change, so we're still not getting any joy out wide. The only joy we did get is that one time Lucas hit the byline and nearly got a bit. He beat Cucurella, to be fair, which was a good piece of play. The cross obviously went to the keeper, but that was the only time. And unless he was doing that multiple times, there was no point in doing a sub like that. You got to at least tactically ask a different question of Potter. That's what I was a bit frustrated with Conte. He didn't change it. He didn't change the formation. I think I think for me,
he was crying out for it.
Yeah, I think for me the biggest I wouldn't say, I don't know. Yeah, biggest flaws yesterday, or biggest troubles were structurally. Mm-hmm. Structurally, we were being outdone by Brighton. It wasn't because they had better players, although I think at wing back they did. I think the structure emphasised their better players at wing back, but I don't think it's because Brighton, man for man, have better players. It wasn't that. It was just structurally, Potter had them set up in a way to stifle us, which was working, and we didn't ask a different question. Say, okay, you stifled us with this way. Now we're going to do this. Now we're going to get more dribblers at wing back. Now we're going to add an central mid, and you're going to have to dominate still with 3 centre mids instead of 2. Now we're going to go 4 at the back or something. We didn't do that at all. We kept it the same way. It was predictable. And in the end, when the goal came, it wasn't undeserved.
It wasn't undeserved, but it was still shocking at the back from us, that goal.
I don't know what Romero was doing.
Absolute comedy of errors at the back. I mean, Romero wins the ball back, fair enough, but then he overruns it, stumbles, and then it falls to Trossard. Trossard completely turns Dyer inside out. I don't know what Dyer's doing, to be honest. Romero and Dyer, both absolutely shocking.
I think he tried to show him on his... I think Dyer tried to show him onto his left. But
he fakes a shot. Dyer turns his back, and then he gets in.
He completely done him. He completely did Dyer. I think maybe it was, I don't know, because 90th minute they seemed lethargic, man, tired. Like the way Romero stumbled, he just seemed tired. But why? You're playing 1 game a week.
There's no excuses to be tired.
I don't understand why they seem so lethargic. And then another thing, if you're gonna, in terms of the way we played as well. If we're going to try and get past this way the Brighton was set up, you have to make sure you're playing the ball super quick.
Yeah.
And making sure
playing it super slow.
Really slow. Painfully slowly. Like everyone was taking 3-4 touches on the ball, just strolling it around. Romero wasn't attacking the spaces like he usually does when there's spaces in front of him. He was just going long or playing poor passes and giving it away. When we were trying to suck Brighton in, we weren't able to play those patterns of play to get out of trouble like we have been in previous games. It was really poor from Spurs yesterday. And look, we ended the game with 0 shots on target.
Do you think
unheard of?
Do you think with Conte obviously not having time on the training pitch and how it's been really important for Conte to get a whole week on the training pitch with the players, do you reckon that played anything into the game yesterday?
The fact that we did have a whole week.
The fact that we didn't, because Conte had COVID and he wasn't on the training pitch for the whole week.
I don't know. I don't know if
because Conte's been playing into the fact how important it is for him to have a week on the training pitch. I know,
but apparently he was still there in training.
Yeah, from afar. I mean, I don't know how much coaching he can do from afar like that.
I'm sure he's still involved.
But there must be a difference between him being fully immersed on the training pitch than to him just standing back and overlooking from afar.
Maybe, but Dyer after the game claims that they knew how Brighton were going to set up and they planned for all week, and they still couldn't do anything about it. I don't know. I guess that's speculation. I don't know if that plays a role in it, but maybe the fact that he wasn't as close to his players as he usually is might have played a role, but that's not an excuse.
No, I get that's not an excuse. And a couple of key moments in the game, the 2 sending offs or non-sending offs. I mean, Kulusevski, first and foremost, I thought definitely should have been sent off. You could see the intent there. He clearly swung his elbow with massive intent there. And I don't know how he didn't see the red, to be honest.
I think he's lucky Cucurella didn't go down, because I think Cucurella goes down pretending he's hurt. Then he gets sent off because he didn't
make much contact, but the intent was clearly there.
Yeah, but I think that's why he got away with it, because he didn't make too much contact with Cucurella, and that is the big difference. I think
he never seemed to recover in the game after that, Kulusevski.
That was clearly born out of frustration, wasn't it? That was probably his poorest game in a Tottenham shirt, you have to say, Kulusevski. But then again, the whole team, that was probably our poorest performance since he's been in the team.
And Mwepu obviously gets that yellow card, high boot into Davis's face, nothing. And then he swipes the back of, I think, was it Højbjerg's ankle? And nothing again. I don't understand how Mwepu doesn't get sent off there. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I thought that was a joke. I thought it was an absolute joke. Which referee gives a player 2 final warnings when they've just been booked? The high boot was an offence in itself, a clear yellow card, absolute yellow card. No referee doesn't book a player in that situation. It was clear yellow card, and then then he swipes Højbjerg's ankle. Was right on the stroke at half time, and he is so lucky that the referee was just in a good mood or something, because I think. Maybe he gets away with it if that was in isolation, but the fact that it was just off the back of him high booting Davis means he has to go. He had to be sent off, and he was so lucky to stay on the pitch. So I think Mwepu massively got away with one there.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of the top 4 race, it did blow it wide open for a small stage. And Arsenal obviously lost to Southampton. Man U got the result against Norwich, but Man U a bit closer now, but we got away with one yesterday massively.
Yeah, I think Arsenal, having seen the game and saves Forster made, I think we definitely did get away with one because he was man of the match, Fraser Forster. I don't think Arsenal were particularly amazing, but the saves they made Forster make, they'll be really unhappy that they didn't go on and win the game, especially that Southampton scored against run and play. So we definitely got lucky with Arsenal's defeat. Obviously, Ronaldo turned up for United and got that hat-trick. He bailed them out of jail yet again. So they'll feel like they're back in the race, only 3 points behind. But they go Liverpool. Their next two games are Liverpool, Arsenal, and they've got Chelsea as well to play. So they've got extremely difficult fixtures coming up, and how many points they'll get out of those games, remains to be seen. Fixture-wise, we're still in the driving seat. In terms of the table, we're still in the driving seat with still 3 points ahead. I know Arsenal have a game in hand, but that'll be wiped out this week when they play Chelsea. We'll see how they go in that game. If they get a win, fair play to them. But even if they do get a win, we're still above them. Mm-hmm. So, look, advantage, thankfully, still Tottenham. But this was a massive wake-up call in the top four race. And everyone, look, you had people in our pre-match fan show saying the top four race is already done. Mm. They were that confident. And if this is not a wake-up call, there's still many twists and turns, and we still have to keep up our standards. If this isn't a wake-up call, then you're not going to get a bigger one than losing at home to Brighton, especially with 0 shots on target. I think that's the most worrying thing, is the fact that we had 0 shots on target and we had such a lack of creativity in the game, and we didn't have any answers to the questions Brighton posed. That was the most worrying thing, because considering how our last two games have gone, really poor in first halves, but we've turned it around in the second half. The fact we weren't able to do that puts doubt in your mind whether these first halves are going to be more indicative of what happened from now to the end of the season, or is it going to be how we've turned it around in the second half?
We need Doherty back, man. We need Doherty. We missed him so badly yesterday. So badly. I mean, he's the only one of our wing backs that can actually go and create something.
Yeah.
The only one that's shown it anyway.
He could also, as I said against, I was saying in the pre-match show, Doherty as well, against Everton, he showed that actually, when we have the ball, he can also step into midfield and provide an extra option there, and actually might be able to create something when he does get in those positions. Emerson's never in a million years.
Emerson's too limited. He's way too limited.
He's just too limited of a footballer, man.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Technically, you're never quite sure whether he's going to control it when you pass it to him and stuff. First of all, there are a number of times yesterday where he was the best option to play it to, and they didn't play it to him. I don't know whether these players don't trust him. But there was one moment where Dyer had Son to his left with a much more difficult ball. He had 2 men on him, but he was running in behind, and then he had Emerson in acres of space, completely free, and he went for Son. And I was like, and obviously the pass didn't come off, and Emerson was like, "Come on, why didn't you pass to me?" And I don't know. I felt like there was a moment where maybe they don't trust him because they know the move more likely than not breaks down when it gets to Emerson.
Yeah.
And that is very worrying. And yeah, he's never going to do what Doherty sometimes does, which is when he steps into midfield. And you wouldn't trust him to do that either. Would you, for example, those couple through balls that Doherty did against Everton, do you think Emerson's ever going to be capable of that?
He doesn't have it in his locker.
Just like a vision-wise and ability to pull it off.
He doesn't have it in his locker, and with Doherty out for the rest of the season, that does send alarm bells a bit, and we got to find a solution. And maybe that solution is Sessegnon on that right wing back.
That's what I'll try because at least he's a lot more comfortable on the ball, and I think it asks different questions of the wing backs than Emerson does. I think if at least I could for Sessegnon, I'm sure he's going to be more more willing to take people on than Emerson is. And as much as Reguilon was awful as well, unfortunately, I think we have to persist with him because I don't think
we don't have options.
Yeah, I think it's more. I think it'll be better to have Sessegnon on the right and Reguilon on the left than to have Sessegnon on the left and Emerson on the right. I think it just changes it up a bit more if we have Reguilon on the right for me. So that's the thing. And yeah, when it comes to Bergwijn, again, he actually came on. He had that chance right at the end, which he should have scored. But at least he fluffed it. But he was there, making something happen. There was one moment as well where the ball was played into him, and he was able to hold off the defender and lay it off and create another opportunity, which no one did throughout the whole game. By the way, I was
calling for Bergwijn on the watch long from about 50 minutes in. Literally 5 minutes after the second half started, I was calling for
What is he doing?
Bergwijn,
5
Bergwijn,
minutes?
Bergwijn. I
5
don't
minutes?
understand. He came on in the 87th minute yesterday.
Doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense.
What does he have to do to get more minutes? I mean, what is Lucas Moura showing in the games that he's playing in to be the first sub or second sub this time, every time?
Doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense to me. So, and as well, when we need a goal, I don't know why he takes off Son. I mean, I know Son was not having a great game, but I think you have to keep them both on and really try and force it.
Yeah,
that's what I would do.
You do. Son's a goal scorer. Son's a goal scorer. You don't take a goal scorer off when you're trying to get a goal in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah. So that was really frustrating. Okay, I guess we'll talk about the only high point for me of the game was Højbjerg.
Yeah.
I think he was the one who really was keeping up his standards and was actually playing pretty well throughout the game and trying to make something happen.
He can't do it on his own, can he?
Nearly got an assist as well near the end where he slides a brilliant pass across the face of goal. Reguilon was inches away from it. He did really well to get there as well. But few and far between in terms of quality throughout the squad. And I just want to talk about Kane because I thought it wasn't just that he wasn't coming deep, but when the ball felt, he did a couple of good things, but by and large, when the ball was near him, there was something completely off with him.
I felt Brighton did a massive job on him yesterday.
But he looked like tired. He was just like lethargically swinging his leg at things.
Or maybe he shouldn't be going to America to watch the golf in the back end of a busy season.
There were like times where there were like little simple passes, which usually he's perfect. He's like perfect in everything he does. But like he was under hitting them or over hitting them and wasn't able to get into the game. Look, Conte, apparently before the Villa game said, if you win this game, I'm going to give you a day off. So that's why he went there. I don't know if that's got anything to do with it. Obviously, people will point at that. But especially, look, if he's going to do that and then he puts in a performance like that, people are always going to say, oh, you shouldn't have gone to the golf, whatever, things like that. And maybe that is something. But he was, I thought, so lethargic yesterday. It was something really strange. The only good things for me was a couple of times the ball was direct into him and he was able to make it stick, and then we were able to do stuff.
Few and far between, though.
It was like I'm talking maybe twice in the game.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Look, let's be honest. It was a bad day at the office. It was a shocking display all round. But in terms of the top four race, it hasn't really affected too much. It's just a missed opportunity where we could have extended our lead at the top.
And even if Arsenal would have won, we still would have been ahead of them, and it wouldn't have been, even if Arsenal would have won, it wouldn't have been fatal. Thankfully, they lost, so it's kind of just as you were in the top four race. But look,
they must be kicking themselves
for sure.
Arsenal.
They will, of course, they've lost 4 out of 5 now, like we did in February.
3 in a row.
3 in a row. I guess,
and this is the 3 in a row. This is an easy run, by the way.
Yeah, before the difficult run. And to be fair, if a West Ham win today, they'll probably think they're back in it because they'll be 3 points behind, won't they?
Yeah.
But I doubt. But they'll be 3 points behind with having played a game more.
2 games more, no? After today.
Is it how many games? Is it 2 games more? After today, it'll be maybe you're right. How many games have you played now? 31 or 32? Yes, they've played 32 now, so it'll be 1 game more.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess the only thing for sure now, without any shadow of a doubt, is for certain, is that Chelsea are getting top 3.
And also when you're looking at the teams in the top 4 race, I'm not really going to count West Ham in this, but you're looking at us, you're looking at Arsenal, you're looking at Man United. Man United, you can never rule them out because they've got a match winner in Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
You can't really rule us out because we've got match winners in Kane and Son.
And we're the 4th.
And we're in 4th. Arsenal, they don't really have those match winners. They're struggling to score goals at the moment.
They've scored 1 goal in their last 4.
Exactly. So I think Man United, because no one's really been talking about them recently. I know they struggled to beat Norwich yesterday, but with a goal scorer and a match winner like Cristiano Ronaldo, you can't not rule them out.
Yeah, because it just means if they're ever in a tight game, they know that they have that player who can turn it for them and score a goal out of nothing or get something for them. Whereas Arsenal, like yesterday, they're in a tight game where they're 1-0 down and they didn't have the quality to win. And I know, obviously, you could say the same about us, but at least we've shown that we have goal scorers in our team.
Yeah, but ours is like, when you're looking at the past 5 games or 6 games, whatever it is, that's like a one-off for us. That's like a constant theme for them.
And to be fair, even Arsenal at their best, at their very best this season when they were winning games,
was by the odd goal.
Exactly,
here and
1-0.
there, yeah.
For example, when they beat Villa, they get a lucky goal from Saka and they just get over that. When they beat Wolves at one time, lucky goal scrambled in from a corner and they see the game out. when those things aren't going for you and those kind of lucky moments dry up, and you're then relying on a very young defence to keep solid.
And that's why their season has gone in waves like that. When you look at, they get over the line sometimes in these kind of games when they get, lucky goals from set pieces and stuff like that. But then when that dries up, they struggle to score for 5 games, like at the beginning of January. And now it's happening again.
We just have to hope that doesn't happen to us. Thankfully, we have the players that you'll be confident we can just put this game behind us and come back. But Brentford's not going to be an easy game. They especially away from home, the way they're playing in the moment, it's not going to be an easy game. So we have to hope that we go into that game full of confidence. We go back to how we were playing before and be sharper, not let the game. I felt like yesterday we're just letting the game drift by without a care in the world. It was like, we'll probably get a goal from somewhere. It's only 0-0. We'll force the issue late on or something. But you can't let games drift like that. And that was the first time in a while we had done that. Just let the game drift us by and not try and show urgency or intensity. It was like play it slowly, take 3-4 touches, chill out. It wasn't good enough. And hopefully,
it was like they were sunbathing yesterday. Yeah. The sun was too strong for everyone yesterday.
And hopefully that's the last time it happens, because if we let it carry on like that, then we will have blown up what is a very good opportunity right now to get in the top 4, and we still have that, thankfully. But look, I have to say about Arsenal, as much as they've been poor over the last, maybe not against Palace, but against Brighton and Southampton, as much as they lost, they probably played better than we did yesterday, and they were the ones creating chances and forcing keepers into saves and stuff like that. So 9 times out of 10 in that game yesterday for Arsenal, they win. They were very unlucky that they came up against a keeper in inspired form. So, I know they've got Chelsea, United, West Ham, but they've also got other games apart from that which they could easily win. So, it's far from over. It's far from over. I think the dream of it being over before the North London derby is quickly disappearing.
Yeah, well, if we would have won yesterday...
Yeah, we missed a massive opportunity.
If we would have won yesterday, that could have been the case. But unfortunately, it wasn't. We did lose yesterday. We need to get back on track next weekend against Brentford. But look, that is our match review.